Welcome to Agenda Edina, a program summarizing the actions taken at City Hall that affect you most. I'm your host, Dorothea Marty. Doing a bit of housekeeping, the city recently amended its zoning ordinance to clarify how setbacks are measured in the Greater Southdale District. In the summer of 2020, the City Council amended the setback requirement for buildings on France and York Avenues to 50 feet from the curb. On all other streets, the setback is to be 30 feet from the curb. The intent of the change was to encourage green space, landscaping, and safe pedestrian movement in front of buildings. This opposed to parking lots and vehicle drive aisles that the previous regulations created in the district. Due to an oversight when the amendment was adopted, the definition section of the ordinance was not updated to match. The most recent amendment brings everything into alignment.
And that was a recommendation that came from the Greater Southdale Area Working Group when we did a large area plan for this district. And the idea behind that recommendation was to create more green space in front of buildings. The way the old setback was required, it got what we have out there mostly today, and that's large parking lots and drive aisles in front of buildings.
Also in the ordinance, a new regulation for impervious surfaces was established, and building coverage was clarified to eliminate patios and recreation facilities like tennis courts. Now, patios, tennis courts, and similar amenities will be regulated under the new rules for impervious surfaces. The requirement to install a basement with any new single-family home was eliminated. Finally, the 1-foot rule was revised. For several years, City Code has required the first floor elevation of a new home not exceed the first floor elevation of the previous home on the site by more than 1 foot. Because that conflicts with the city's requirement for the low floor elevation of new homes to be 2 feet above a flood elevation, the 1-foot rule does not apply if there is a floodplain or high water elevation issue.
That ordinance went into effect in 2014, and the city we've had a number of variances to that 1-foot rule over the years. So we figured rather than processing variance, which becomes very time consuming for the resident, that we would amend the code.
The city of Edina, along with several others in Minnesota, has called for state and federal help in responding to climate change. The Minnesota City's Climate Caucus is a statewide group of city council members and mayors working to take unified action to address climate change. City Council member Carolyn Jackson is part of the group.
What we found in working with climate is that it's really good to share experiences. So, for instance, in Edina, we have a benchmarking ordinance that benchmarks energy and water use by larger buildings. We went through the process, and we can share with other cities our successes and failures in doing that and the best way to go about it. So it's really started initially as an idea sharing forum. We then sort of discovered that there isn't really a structure within the League of Minnesota Cities that is a direct climate related policy vehicle. And so we said, well, if we want to see some climate policy done at the state and federal level that can help cities do their job to make their communities responsive to climate change, we're going to have to create our own group.
In 2019, the City Council approved a resolution committing to take actions that protect future generations from the consequences of climate change. Last month, the city approved another resolution building on that commitment, joining with other cities to share how climate change impacts local governments, to report steps cities can take, and call on state and federal governments to take action. The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly increased the use of high-speed internet throughout the world. But for some populations, including students, educators, and seniors, internet access remains out of reach. Now, the city of Edina is using American Rescue Plan Act funds and a Comcast program to remove one barrier for residents: the cost. Edina TV's Tom Cornell has the story.
As the pandemic forced business and education to pivot to online interactions, it quickly became clear that the most vulnerable were falling through the cracks of internet access.
It's been inequitable, right? So not every kid has internet access at home. And again, a lot of that is because of income inequalities as well. We know that that's putting a strain on families to say, we want you to go home and continue your education.
And many Edina residents are affected by this digital divide.
We did see a need. At one point, we thought it was due to the infrastructure of the internet, but upon further review, we realized it was more of an economic issue.
In 2021, the city of Edina received more than $4.9 million from the federal government's American Rescue Plan Act. A portion of these funds could be used to fund a project. Enter Comcast.
Internet Essentials from Comcast is really a comprehensive broadband adoption program. We've had it for 10 years, and it includes 3 different components. And the one that's most known and most popular is Wi-Fi access at the home.
Comcast's Internet Essentials program is available to anyone in a Comcast service area with a small monthly fee. But the city will cover that cost for Edina residents who qualify through the American Rescue Plan Act free internet program. Here's how it works.
The application process is really easy. You go on to Better Together Edina. They check their household income against the table that's online. If they qualify and if they live in Edina, all they need to do is fill out a very simple questionnaire that is sent to me. I review it. I will send them an email back with a code that is unique for them, and then they would need to contact Internet Essentials, provide the code that they have received, and they can be signed up.
There's also a frequently asked questions page for more information.
We are here to serve the residents of Edina, regardless of their income. And if people are falling behind or missing out on opportunities because of lack of access to the internet, then we need to address that.
Looking at how we can bridge the digital divide that has been there. I mean, that is really, it's a real issue. There are a lot of adoption barriers. And so how can we help to make sure those get addressed?
This program isn't limited to households with school-aged children, but it's teachers and students who often benefit the most from having high-speed internet access.
We live in a connected world, and I really just think all kids deserve that opportunity to be connected, to thrive, to have quality internet so that they can access the things that they need to.
And our senior residents have felt the impact as well.
There's a concern with telemedicine. A lot of doctors, especially with COVID spikes, would prefer to meet some people over an internet line rather than in person.
It's important to apply right away. The program ends on December 31st, 2022, so the sooner people get signed up, the longer they'll have free internet access. For Edina TV, I'm Tom Cornell.
To learn more about all that's available or to apply, visit bettertogetheredina.org. For those without internet access, pick up an application at Edina City Hall. The City of Edina continues to closely monitor the spread of the novel coronavirus and related variants in an effort to keep those who live and work here up to date about COVID-19. Please visit edinamn.gov/coronavirus for the latest updates, or sign up to receive City Extra emails or text messages. Thanks for watching this episode of Agenda Edina. I'm your host, Dorothea Marty.